What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchet REACT, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we're back with another American reaction. So excited about this video. If you're new to us
and we're new to you,
make sure you scroll down,
hit that subscribe button,
and turn on the post notification bell
because we're on the road to 200K.
And we cannot get there without you guys, alright? Join the family without further ado. Let's get into the video.
Let's get it.
So when you arrive in the United States in a lot of airports these days, it's not just a passport agent that looks at your passport, there's a camera that can take your picture to confirm your identity. Every year, hundreds of millions of people travel in and out of the United States. In 2021, U.S. Customs and Border Protection rolled out a biometric program at airports aimed at automating the entry-exit process.
What the photo does, we take images of known persons, people that have either submitted passport photos. So we're doing a match. We take the live photo and compare it to a photo that we already have of the individual.
This is like facial recognition technology.
We call it comparison because when people hear facial recognition, they automatically orient to surveillance.
Sure.
What we do is very distinct from surveillance. It's to enhance security. We've always been getting the biographic data for years. Now we're biometrically confirming that data. We have about 100 million passengers now that have been processed through facial biometric comparison.
If this is 1.0, what does 2.0 look like?
Where we're really working diligently, and kind of the final frontier for us, is getting it up and running in the vehicle environment at our land border ports of entry.
So I already see a problem with this. Face comparison compared to face recognition is obviously two different things. Obviously, you pick up your phone and your eyes can signal that you are who you are. But what if a person get a nose job done, or they get a lip injection, or anything like that? Now their face is different from their last face.
Or just lose weight.
Or just lose weight.
Yeah.
That don't mean they're different people, but face comparison shows that they're not who they used to look like.
If it's comparison, but if they're just relying on biometrics with the eyes,
they're not. This face
comparison.
It's like if I shave off my whole beard, I'm looking totally different, yo.
Yeah,
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, like
totally
a person
different.
who's just having a bad day. This not you. Put the thing on my eye, please.
Yeah.
To unlock the password.
Facts.
Certainly our southwest border, we can't let bad people and bad things into the country.
As migrants cross in record numbers, the border between the U.S. and Mexico is where U.S. Customs and Border Protection rolls out its most innovative technology.
Just being here is an act of defiance.
Why is that?
Because the government is hell-bent on keeping people off the river. They don't want anyone here to observe and document what they're doing. So, at either end of the wall, there are little outposts like National Guard or observation towers. And then there's those big surveillance towers. The raid towers are replacing all of these little ones. You can see some of the relays on the telephone poles and the omnidirectional antenna sticking out of a tree. Different things like that as we head upriver.
Mariano Trevino Wright is the executive director of the National Butterfly Center in Mission, Texas, which sits on the Rio Grande, directly across from Mexico. She's a U.S. citizen, but because Mariana lives and works near the border, she lives under the thumb of CBP and Border Patrol.
No, sir, we didn't. So they just did that to get their own video of all of you.
Mariana might sound alarmist, but the jurisdiction of CBP doesn't just apply to migrants or those living along the border. It extends 100 miles inland, leaving 2/3 of the U.S. population susceptible to potential surveillance. Mariana herself has found multiple cameras and recording devices on her property. You suspect they're collecting information about you?
I know they're collecting information about everyone. In about 2014, 2015, I could hear clicking in and out of my cell phone. And I told my husband, I think they're listening to my cell phone calls out on the border. And then not long after that, they produced all the documents attesting to the fact that they were doing exactly that.
Just by virtue of
I forgot when that was, but they even had like a documentary about it, and they even had a movie that they made about it, about how the FBI taps all of our email, all of our cameras, like the phones, the laptops, anything that has a camera. So I feel like since then, and this has been a long time, and I really don't know what was done about it, because I feel like it has only developed since then. Yeah. It's like, for people in other countries who are watching, how is it there? Because I feel like now it's just so normal. Like, we know that they're watching the different ads that come up. Mm-hmm. It's not just the government anymore. It's the companies, right? Yeah. So to me, it's kind of like, I know someone's listening, and I know that sounds bad, but it's like, what can I do about that?
Yeah. It's like that theory, or the conspiracy theories. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's basically what this is. They don't want you to believe it to the full percentage of which it can be a problem or a threat to the people. But the reality is, that's what it is. I remember when I would have my cell phone, I would hear clicking or static sounds. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? First, I would think his service is bad. Mm-hmm. I'm going in and out. I'm going in and out. But you would hear the click, 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 click. And I'd be like, okay, something not right, because I'm not used to that.
Right.
So, you know,
so it's like, what is there to do other than cover your camera, or I don't know. It's like, and it's like, we're those people who use the biometrics to unlock our phones and things like that. So how do y'all feel about it in other countries? I don't know. It's so ingrained in our society now. I just don't know.
Yeah, technology has definitely took advantage of a lot of things that we don't even really, give credit to these days no more. Like, if you're into the nature and stuff, then you probably understand that, technology is taking people from their environments, their families, things of that nature. But when you enter the computer world and tech stuff, then you sit back and be like, yeah, that's a problem, this is an issue, and it's not normal.
Right.
being near the border, you're a subject to all this surveillance without any consent, without like any due cause or warrants or things like that.
Without any of that.
I mean, this sounds like a civil liberties nightmare.
It's very stressful. I mean, the harassment is everywhere.
You know, you look at a country like China that has like technological tracking of all of its citizens, facial recognition technology, social scores, all of these things. And I think people are like, the United States is never going to be like China, like that.
No, we absolutely will.
That sounds really scary. Like, how scared
should
we
won't
be?
Tell us everything.
Because there's like this fine line, right, between like fact-based vigilance and like a little bit of paranoia. And like hearing from you, I don't know which side of the line to land on.
I feel like COVID really exposed that, because when we was walking through metal detectors or walking on a job, we didn't notice that we was being tracked by our body temperature. But then you start to see the computer behind the desk whenever you're passing through, and now they can detect whether you have a heated temperature or not. And that's just the beginning of what we thought we knew what was going on.
Right.
So
now I can say, I don't know everything there is to know about the tracking system in the Asian countries, but I do know that there is some good to it. Like, one of the things that they have to do is submit DNA like every decade or something like that.
Oh, Lord. Just
in case they need to be found or something, or cases and things like that. So I can see that is some good to it. But would I want to do all that? It kind of takes away from, I know y'all already talk about this a lot, but the freedom, right? Like, I don't want to feel like
it takes away from the human experience.
Yeah.
For me,
being free.
Yeah. Being
free. Like, what if I don't want to be found?
It's like down to your blood type.
Yeah.
I don't know that it does any good to be scared.
And this is kind of going off a little bit, but the genealogy.
Yeah.
When people was spitting in the tubes and things like that and sending it off to be tested, and a lot of people was like, y'all should do that to see where your ancestors come from and things like that. And we're like, we're going to depend on the documents, follow the paper trail. And now, all of a sudden, that company went bankrupt, and they're allowed to sell all the people's data.
Yeah, it's like the movies when somebody run into the laboratories and have to take everything that they got. It's just that, you know what I'm saying? They're selling it and getting rid of it.
People need to become well-informed, and they need to be courageous enough to act.
Surveillance has already moved beyond the borderlands. From CBP-deployed drones at BLM protests to a Homeland Security secret list of journalists and human rights lawyers, the watchers are being watched. But the greatest threat isn't the visible technologies themselves. It's how the information they capture is analyzed. Palantir Technologies is one of the most prominent players in the field of data analytics, and they're behind some of the government's most high-profile missions. The company is rumored to have helped execute the capture of Osama bin Laden, and their software powered some of the largest deportation raids in U.S. history. It was founded in 2004 by PayPal billionaire Peter Thiel.
We cannot let free market ideology serve as an excuse for decline.
Thiel and fellow Palantir founder Joe Lonsdale are among the Silicon Valley ultra-rich. They claim staunch libertarian views and promote American exceptionalism and dominance, particularly over China's.
We're also a nation that has very different values than China. It is important that we stay ahead of them in defense and ahead of them in AI.
Palantir employees rarely speak publicly about their time and work at the company, but former engineer Philip Sufitsky wants to demystify the capabilities of the software.
Part of working at Palantir, they felt it was very important that everybody knew what the software was well enough that if somebody asked about it, you could give them a overview or a sales pitch.
Yeah, what's the pitch?
The way I try to explain it to people, if you think about any sort of crime procedural, they always have this big cork board. And they've got note cards, they've got pictures, they've got newspaper clippings, etc. But if you had a cork board that's a million feet wide, that's Palantir. That's the trend of the world in general. It's very much trending towards people or data points.
In 2004, Thiel was the first to invest in another little venture called Facebook. As we all eagerly signed up for this new mode of connection, the company revolutionized how our personal data is bought, sold, and shared.
Yeah, but no, that's a funny one because when you scrolling and you're talking to somebody about a product that's not on your phone yet, and then an ad pops up, that ain't no coincidence, bro.
At all.
That ain't no coincidence at all. That's what it is.
Because if I'm talking about a typewriter that came out in 1993, why am I seeing an ad on eBay for that
eBay.
typewriter?
Go get it. That's what you want. I think that's what you want. Let me give it to
Listen.
you. Bro, hey, and then you be sitting there. No, I ain't gonna say nothing crazy, but here it is. Here it is.
Talking about like selling me jeans on Instagram here, we're talking about using state power.
You need to know that if it's law enforcement, if it's a regulatory agency, whatever data it can collect and does collect will be analyzed more efficiently than before. It's a lot of power for people with the data and with the analytics tools to have over individuals.
Companies like Palantir are revolutionizing how our data is used by the government. And now across the country, surveillance technology is being welcomed with open arms to combat crime, enhance public safety, and even to track the spread of COVID-19. Peachtree Corners, just outside Atlanta, is a city of just 40,000. But since the 1960s, the community's leaders have envisioned it would be a hub for technological innovation. Today, the city has its own Curiosity Labs, which is a testing site for companies to develop tech like solar-powered scooters and driverless cars. All right, show me your techno car.
All right.
And so you're testing out how the road can talk to the car and the car can talk to the road.
That's exactly right. So every time we hear one of those, that's a SPAT message. It gives us some kind of indication of what's going on at intersections and any place we have roadside units. And so in the future, whether it's through smartwatches, phones, any kind of application, they can all eventually talk to each other as this technology gets expanded. So we were just transmitted a green light. This is another car was approaching. Again, the green light.
Here's a dumb question, but why do we want to do this?
We want to do it again just to enhance vehicular and pedestrian safety.
Do you think this is like what the world's gonna look like in like 5 years?
For better or for worse, I think this is kind of an inevitable direction of where everything is going.
Peachtree Corners says they only adopt the best and most secure of these prototype technologies. And in 2020, it rolled out Flock Safety, a product that uses cameras and machine learning to read license plates. Flock stores the data for 30 days before wiping it, and can alert law enforcement if the car is connected to a crime through a hot list, a database of vehicles with outstanding warrants and alerts. Flock says the cities they partner with usually see a dramatic decrease in crime.
We've been very successful here in Peachtree Corners. We rolled out 25 of them, successfully solved 2 homicides, and recovered over $1 million in stolen property by the use of this technology.
But this is a technology where you might
put a camera somewhere that isn't as visible.
Correct.
So you might not even know as you're going through it that your
Yeah.
location is being recorded.
Yeah, but again, if we have nothing wrong, nothing to do, that just gets wiped from the file because nobody wants Big Brother. That's not the
Nobody wants
goal.
Big Brother, but sometimes it just happens by like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
Seem
I'm
like
wowed by this and I think it's amazing, but I also
Have that lingering thought. I
what
get
are we
it.
doing here?
Yeah, I get it. The approach we've taken is to be communicative about this throughout the entire process. Like, we don't access this as a government. It's strictly for our law enforcement officers.
But flock safety isn't just for law enforcement. Much like Amazon Ring, anyone can buy the technology.
What data can they see? Do they have access to this kind of dashboard?
So,
To the hot list, to like all these sorts of things?
no, so they have very stripped down service, which I think is another important step because, yeah, we could have the Wild West out here.
You know what it sounds like? What is it?
Or if
Spy on your
HOAs
neighbors.
or, yeah, exactly.
So we help you out.
Yeah.
So
Okay, they about to explain it further.
Yeah,
you know what
moving
this
on,
reminds
so-
me of? It
moving on.
reminds me of the, what do you call that? The radio station frequencies where we can listen to everything that comes in with the police.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, it's like intercepting channels.
Yeah, my uncle used to always, my uncle and my grandfather used to always have it on that station. They need to know what's going around at all times.
Right, because it's not just officers who is protecting the communities; it's the community itself. You know what I'm saying?
Neighborhood watch type of
Neighborhood
thing.
watch type of things. Because if anybody want to know what's going on, it's the parents,
Right. But I can see
not
a
just
little,
parents, all adults that's in the environment as well.
yeah, all adults. I can see where this could go a little bad with anybody being able to purchase this type of equipment, especially, you know, when people are just passing through a community. They're just passing through a community, not doing anything wrong. I can see where that could be bad, but
Yeah,
I do see the similarities between what we already had.
yeah,
Yeah.
I feel you.
Very stripped down service, which I think is another important step because, yeah, we could have the Wild West out here if
Spy on your
HOAs
neighbors.
or, yeah, exactly.
So we help you out.
Yeah.
So they're the same features you have. They can search their camera and see all the images they have accumulated. Like my neighborhood has it.
So you can still see the license plate.
My neighborhood.
Okay.
has it.
So they do see the license plates that enter their neighborhood, but they don't see like the hot list.
But still, like, I can basically know when my neighbors are coming and going. I mean, in the same.
Good. Yeah.
And who's coming to the house?
That's a little nuts.
That is.
How we use it.
It's like we're not going to put a camera directly on your house. We're going to put a system that picks up cars and analyze information and send it back to your phone as data. I feel like that's kind of just
That's
hyping up that moment because
Right.
you will have some people like, oh, I got new neighbors, so let me put a camera here just to see what they're doing. You know what I'm saying?
It sounds very HOA-ish.
Yeah.
It does. And like I said, there's some good and bad things that come with HOA. But
Yeah.
overall, baby, I try to avoid at all costs.
Yeah.
At all costs.
Feel you. I feel you.
Don't be talking about the amount of people that came to my house for a party. Shoot.
That you wasn't invited to.
What it comes down to, right? Trust in the public good, think good before bad. And we have to have some level of trust with our fellow citizens.
Trusting your neighbor is one thing, but increasingly privately owned cameras are being fed into larger, more powerful surveillance systems. Take Atlanta. As part of an initiative known as Operation Shield, the Atlanta Police Department has integrated more than 10,000 cameras from both government and private citizens into its system to monitor for crimes.
Oh, wow.
The number of cameras per capita has made Atlanta the only U.S. city to make the top 10 list of most surveilled cities in the world. Almost all the others are in China.
Are there privacy concerns here? Because it's
So that is a question that I raised then. Whenever a person is chilling on a bench waiting on the bus and the officer walk up saying, hey, I was given a call that, you know, some activity was going on, I just want to see if you're okay. Is it a call that they're getting from the civilian or is it a tip that they're getting from their cameras that's being given from the person that's actually watching the camera? I don't know. I got questions now.
I didn't listen. Oh,
I got
child.
questions now. It's,
it does seem like this is a highly powerful tool to be able to see so much all the time.
For us, the privacy concern is just really not there because, again, our residents in the city of Atlanta have really shown in a huge way that they are accepting of the technology and they frankly want more of it.
Are there any safeguards in place to prevent the kind of omniscient, artificial intelligent future? kind of the same way like we all gave our data to like Facebook and Amazon and stuff, and now we're like, oh, that didn't work out great. How do we know that that's safeguarded for the future?
It boils down to leadership. So it's the leadership of the department and the leadership of the program.
Atlanta's leaders have contracted with several predictive policing and surveillance technology companies, including Flock. And leaders across the country and the political spectrum tend to agree that connecting local, state, and federal surveillance networks is essential for national security. It's a post-9/11 lesson that Silicon Valley is cashing in on. Take Palantir. Since going public in 2020, the company's valuation has nearly tripled to about $45 billion. Founders Peter Thiel and Joe Lonsdale have gone on to invest in many of the buzziest surveillance companies, all feeding off the bipartisan push to dredge data from US citizens. But is Silicon Valley's move fast, break things ethos running roughshod over constitutionally protected privacy? Palantir did not respond to a request for participation. Flock responded to our questions by emphasizing their strict privacy policies, no facial recognition, and a commitment to never sell or share data, and that encouraging neighborhoods to share their cameras with law enforcement helps public safety remain in the hands of professionals. Andrew Ferguson is a law professor who's sounding the alarm on how this venture-funded cottage industry could be setting the stage for an American-style autocracy.
The collection of sort of public data about you and about me is largely unregulated. And so if a government wanted to start taking the data that's available in the world and centralize it and make it usable, which is exactly what Palantir and other companies like Palantir can do, it's obviously troubling because it's centralizing power in a government in a way that we've never seen before in the US.
The argument against that would be like, well, China's not thinking about that.
They're not, and
we
they're
have
not.
to keep up. We just got to keep keeping up.
But that only is good if your goal is to have the best surveillance state. If you want to be more, George Orwell, 1984, you want to be more authoritarian. Yeah, I don't want that race. I'd rather lose that race.
But in a world where intentions are good, can this technology still result in bad outcomes?
I think a better way to think about it is to begin with the recognition that this technology will always be misused. You got to assume the tyrant. Let's assume that every technology we build, every database, every facial recognition system, everything we're using is going to be misused by this metaphorical tyrant. And we need to think that way before we adopt this technologies in our communities.
Yeah, he just said that the world ain't
But
good.
whether it's knocking on your neighbor's door,
I
It's
don't
gonna be
feel
misused.
For real, I don't feel like in the United States we trust each other enough for this. We don't. For us to be on a level of China, like, first of all, it's
Yeah. I mean, we
Politics,
watch
I
it
ain't
happen
talking
though when they
politics.
put up these cameras and these new purple lights, and the next thing you know, you don't even have red or white lights no more down the streets when you're driving. You have purple lights. So we asking ourselves, is this new security cameras? When did they up this? And it's a lot more to that too.
And you know what's crazy? We're used to it. So it's like, it's just another thing.
Yeah, we're gonna keep going on about our data. Just don't
Right.
come bother us.
Right.
Because whatever you see got going on there, we're not connected
Exactly. We ain't connected to
to. Yeah,
nothing.
trying to be, questioned about anything.
We don't fit no description.
Yeah.
We don't know nothing.
And that's crazy because when it comes to just being safe and you have
Right.
this type of technology, there shouldn't be no error. Y'all shouldn't miss
Right.
nothing.
Right. It shouldn't be regular citizens being able to access it in the level that y'all can. Like, nobody should know my license plate number. Period. Because once you know a person's license plate number, you could find out so much about them.
Yeah. That's why they be blurring it.
or even just turning on your phone, the tools of surveillance are never far behind and always at our fingertips. And the power of this technology only grows as Silicon Valley pushes innovation and federal agencies
No fingerprints no
adopt it.
more. It's face
Through the
recognition.
surveillance they've installed, through their physical presence, there's been this creeping, and pushing the limits of what they are legally entitled to do
Which means it's deployed against you.
against me, against you, against everybody. It is indiscriminate.
If they're listening right now, what's your message?
Fuck off.
That was a very Texas thing to do.
Yeah, she's looking for her privacy and she want to be
Yeah.
left alone. That's what it
Yeah,
is. But
for real.
at the end of the day, if you think about it, when it comes to technology in general, it's all around our homes. It's in our hands. So whether or not we think we're being watched, it's a possible chance that we are. So
Yeah. All right, y'all. Y'all be trying to get us in trouble with these videos, child. But it's all right. We hope you guys enjoyed this video with us. Be sure to subscribe. We'll see you soon.
Peace.